If you're spending money on ads to promote your music, then watch this first. I am not saying never use ads. What I am saying is when you are using ads, we have to use them in the right place, the right time, in order to trigger the algorithm, in order to build your brand and build you as an artist. The myth I hear on a daily basis is that you can just use ads to blow up your song. But did you know that 80% plus of all of the streams that you're going to get are very likely to not come from any kind of paid advertising services? You've got algorithmic playlists, you've got personal libraries, you've got fan sharing. Ads don't scratch the surface when it comes to the majority of streams. It boils down to this: Spotify doesn't reward attention. Spotify rewards behavior. And so that makes a big difference when it comes to the data that it's receiving, because artists want clicks, artists want spins on Spotify, but Spotify want different metrics. Now, Spotify values save rates and repeat listens and skip rate or playlist ads. Now, I am not saying you shouldn't advertise. Advertising is very important when you are promoting anything, and all of an advert is really is putting something in front of somebody, and you are in charge of what the something is, and you are in charge of the somebody or the demographic that you are putting it in front of. The thing is, that's a very simplistic view. The reality is there's a lot more complexities that goes around sort of releasing your music, promoting your music, and if we do not use ads in the right way, what you are going to find is you are feeding bad data into the platform. Spotify is like any other platform. It is constantly searching for data. And as artists and creatives, you're constantly thinking that data, being important, is good data. But we forget that data can also be bad data. What happens if someone clicks through an ad and listens to 10 seconds of your song? You've just fed bad data. What happens if it's the wrong type of demographic that is being fed to that now is listening to your song, and the platform thinks that that's the type of person that it should be showing your music to? The problem is this is an anomaly. This is someone who happened to like your music that doesn't fit into your demographic, and we could be damaging the data in the platform. So before we even consider ads, we need to look at how we release music, how to use music to build you the artist. I cannot tell you how important this is. Most artists are using themselves to promote the music. We need to use the music to promote you, the artist. And if we think of it this way around, adverts become a lot more to our advantage, because we are now saying these are the things that you need to know and hear in order to build me, the artist. And also how to promote featuring ads, almost like a contribution. How do we use ads to contribute to the strategy to promote your music instead of I will just run ads to build numbers? So firstly, how you release music is very important. And whilst I'm not going to go into the complexities of a 30-day release, there's plenty of videos on my channel that will do that, I'm talking about how often you release music. Lots of artists will release an album of music. Now, that's great for you, and it probably is great for the listeners who love you. But the platform doesn't reward you for that. And that's what we're talking about here, how to get the platform to do the work for you. What the platform likes is little and often. It favors consistency over sort of lots of music in bursts until you get to a certain level. For anyone who just said, hey, Morgan Wallen's just released 38 songs. Yes, I understand when you get to a certain level, do what you want. It makes no difference. But when we have to build the momentum, it's like starting off riding a bike. We have to get to a certain speed first before we can start to take our feet off the pedals, or how we can break the rules. So we can't think of this as a 12-course meal once a year. What we've got to do is we've got to feed the machine little and often. Now, little and often depends on how often you release or even record music. I would rather you be putting music out every 4 to 6 weeks rather than going for this once a week. We're going to really rinse it. We're going to get as much out as possible over a very short period of time, because it plays into your mental health. It plays into your burnout, plays into your anxieties. It plays into you saying, well, hang on, 10 songs is done in just over 2 months. What are you going to do next? So we have to have a strategy of releasing little and often without burning you out as an artist. Then think about your release strategy itself. For example, what most artists will do is it will get to release day, they'll push it out and they'll say, hey, everybody in the entire world, my song is out. Why don't we think about what the platform actually wants? It wants good data. So what happens if you're building some kind of loyalty list, okay? And so when it gets released, the first part of your promotion goes to your loyalty list even though the song is released, instead of all of everybody who knows who you are. Because your loyalty list, the people who like you the most, the fan base that you can get hold of, are the most likely people to not only engage and listen, possibly even repeat listen or save, but they're probably most likely in your demographic. Whereas when we do ads, the platform or the ad platform will start to look around for anything it can get hold of and just say, look, my job is just to make sure that I blanket this across everything. But you can see the difference between the loyalty list data versus the ads data. So over the next 6 months, start building your small VIP list. It could be on email. It could be on a broadcast channel on Instagram. It can be wherever you feel like you have the most connection and engagement with your audience without having to go into sort of discovery mode into TikTok. And from there, on release day, you could say, hey, it's release day and we're in this together and you are my loyalty list and I love you for it. And can I ask you something? Could you please, save the song? Could you please listen to it twice in its entirety? Could you please add it to a playlist of songs that you love? This will make the most difference. Your loyalty list will say yes. Those are the people who go, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, of course I'll listen to it a couple of times. I'll probably listen to it 5 times because I like who you are and I like your music. We need to feed data and then move into the rings on the lake where we're starting to look around for other people. Now start thinking of how you are promoting your music. Most artists, the song will come out and they'll start promoting that song. That doesn't have context apart from the people who are your fans or possibly the people who really know who you are and like you. Outside of that, you've got loads of discovery of people saying, I don't know who you are and I don't care. And so you want me to go across to Spotify, listen to your song, fall in love with you, and come back, hit the follow button, and start buying all your merch. That's a lot of work from just a 20 or 30 second clip. Whereas if we are promoting a playlist, for example, by adding your song into a playlist of songs that people know, so they say, oh, I love, emo 2025, you go, great. Or I love, chill Ibiza anthems. And I'm like, oh, I'm more likely to listen to that because that's my vibe. And your song is in there. You're starting to build that data, but also you're starting to kind of bring people that context instead of crowbarring, forcing, which is what ads do, crowbarring, forcing something in front of me and just saying, love me. Now, this builds passive data around your audience and taste. So sharing a playlist is kind of like sharing a mixtape instead of a sales pitch, which is what a lot of adverts do. You will see for a lot of sort of marketers, when they talk about advertising, what the new trend is to go and make something work on a platform and then use that piece of content with a call to action. Now, that does work. It's a little harder when it comes to music, but that idea of making something work is because it has context, which most adverts don't have. Now, this bit's really important, and we're starting to see a lot of labels starting to implement this tactic, which works really, really well, which is socials should equal testing, not a megaphone. Most artists are using socials as a megaphone. Do the thing I want to do. Listen to my music. Go to Spotify. Buy my merch. Love me, love me, love me. Instead of saying, well, hang on a minute. This is modern day A&R. This is a chance for us to go and find hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or even of millions of people to potentially find out about you and your music and your talent. And so therefore, we should be using it like that. Rather than demanding, rather than advertising, we should be saying, this is my chance to see what works. And not just what songs work or even what parts of songs work, but seeing what works for you as an artist. Seeing the type of content that works for you as an artist, because there's so many nuances in every piece of content, in every song that you do, every decision that you make. And we're not testing. What we're doing is we're saying, I know best, I'll do what I want to do, and I'm expecting you to love me. And then we go, oh, it doesn't work, and it really annoys me. Instead of saying, well, hang on a minute. There's just a whole batch of people that I can test this in front of, and I can keep monitoring it whilst I'm improving at the same time, whilst I'm building my audience. So posting rough versions or lyrics or stories and just seeing what happens and monitoring it and optimizing and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. You're digging for treasure, but when you find the treasure, you dig the treasure up until it's all gone, and then you move over to find the next batch of treasure. You scale what works. You ignore what doesn't work. This turns socials from kind of promotion into kind of like pre-release validation. Then before running any ads, I want you to study your metrics. Know exactly who your avatar is. Know your demographic. Whenever I'm talking to artists and they say, it's kind of right, really. It's hard to tell. It's male, it's female, it's 15-year-olds, it's 50-year-olds. And I'm like, it's hard to tell because you haven't figured it out. That doesn't mean it's not there. It means we haven't studied it. We haven't put the work in. And this is where the genius is in the attention to detail. Because if we're going to run ads, we're putting too much faith into the platform and going, it'll figure it out. Well, what if it doesn't? What happens if it starts showing it to the wrong people and then it goes down the wrong road and all of a sudden you're breaking your data, you're breaking your algorithm? Now, interestingly enough, you might know who's listening, but do you know why they are listening? Do you know when they are listening? Do you know where they are listening? Do you know how they are listening? Because these things are featured in sort of organic growth as opposed to ads. Spotify rewards behaviors. That bit's really important. They don't reward clicks. So if you say, look, I got 1,000 clicks across to Spotify, they go, love it. But if they're not listening, they don't want that. They're saying, thanks for that, by the way, but I'm going to go and show them some music that they will probably stick around for. So it rewards their behaviors. And so when we're doing anything, we have to build up the context and we have to build up their behaviors. Now, because of this, too many artists are advertising too early because it's the easy option. I got a bit of money, I can push it, I can force people to see it. My ego is sort of feeling good because I can see numbers, I can see there's a bit of engagement. But the problem is long term, it's not really helping. Short term, you are getting more numbers. The problem with that is if you are not sorting everything else out that goes with it, you stop advertising, you stop getting the numbers. So you have to put a lot of money in and you need to do the rest of the stuff. And then you start to see this momentum. Whereas if you get everything else right, a small amount of money in advertising can make all of the difference. But there's some key metrics that are really, really important. Your save rate, your skip rate, and your repeat rate. Spotify puts a lot of onus on this. It really wants you to have certain levels of quality of what it regards as quality. And so the save rate is the percentage of listeners who save the song. Pretty obvious. But you're aiming for 10%. That's a lot. So if you're just sending random people in there, how do you know if 10% of them are the right people who are going to save your song? Because if you get that, that is going to do the world of good. When it comes to skip rate, obviously, what that means is people who listen to a certain amount of song and then they just skip on to the next song. Now, if you're clicking through and going, yeah, I'll give you a go, and then they listen to 5 seconds and go, yeah, I give you a go because the video was good or the picture was good or maybe it was something I might have liked or the slogan or the caption or whatever it is. I click through, I listen to 10 seconds and go, oh, what do you know? It isn't for me after all. I just took a gamble. And then I skip it. I'm doing damage. I'm giving bad data. So this is the percentage of people who skip before 30 seconds. That's what it doesn't want. It wants people to stay on more than 30 seconds, and that's when it will register a play. Now, you need to keep this under 30%. 30% of people skipping, anything more than that is a problem. And obviously repeat listeners. You don't want to have 1,000 plays and 1,000 listeners because it's telling Spotify that people don't like the song enough to want it again. So we are giving these indicators to the platform. So this indicates true fandom or true listenership of people who will come back time and again. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, where do I find this information? It is in your Spotify for Artists. You can find a lot of good data and you should be spending time there. So go into your Spotify for Artists, click on music, click on song, click on audience retention. You'll see a lot of information. Now, as you are promoting music, as you are releasing more music, you need to study this data in order to optimize for the future so that when you are ready to put ads in, you are making the right decisions. Now, if you are going to use ads, there are certain things that I would recommend you do. When it comes to your hooks, you are trying to create reasons to listen over requests to listen. A slight difference, but a reason to listen is about me. Request to listen is about you. And so everyone says, go and stream my new song or new song is out now. But the problem is it's a request. And therefore, if it's a request, it's forgettable. You will have seen the data. If you are pushing something on TikTok or Instagram Reels, and then on one day you say, my new song's out now. And you go, oh, my number's really dropped. And you go, yeah, because people don't want that. That's not an algorithmic thing. That's a people thing. They don't want you to be promoting them. They get enough adverts in the world. They don't need another one. So as soon as they feel like it's an advert, they go. But when you're giving them a reason, now it's about me. Now, if it's something I want because you've triggered some kind of connection, I'm thinking to myself, oh no, I want this as opposed to I want to help you. Now, a lot of the time, this is in the form of a hook or even an emotional hook or even something you say. So, for example, if you said, I wrote this song the day I lost my best friend, that is a reason to go, ooh, that's a powerful thing. What happened? Now it's about me. Even though it is about you, it's about me. Whereas if you say, go stream my song, I'm like, there's no emotional connection right there. Whereas if you say something like, this line got me through my worst moment, I'm like, ooh, what's the line? I've got retention, I've got storytelling, I've got emotional, I've got hook, I've got connection, I've got all of this. This is a reason for me to go, hey, I'm listening. And once I'm listening, I'm more likely to carry on listening, or I'm more likely to go across to a platform to hear the rest of the story. And lastly, I work with a lot of artists on making content. And where we are now is very different to where we were a year ago, which is very different to where we were 2 years ago. And one thing I'm seeing is the same thing cropping up on platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook, YouTube every single day. I'm on the platform, I'm scrolling, I'm like, yeah, same. And so when I say this, I haven't changed my mind, okay? What has happened here is consumption habits have changed and creator habits have changed, which changes the game, which means that we have to change in order to win. But when everyone turns left, we need to start thinking about turning right. Now, that doesn't mean rebel against the platform. It means what can we do differently in order to win, so that if we are going to use ads, we are now promoting something that people value instead of just the same thing that everyone else is doing 1,000 times. Because most people haven't got any creativity. They just go, oh, is that what works? Well, I'll do the same thing. And then you've got hundreds of thousands of creators on a platform walking down the street saying, I think I just wrote the song of the summer. And everyone goes, oh, I've done that. I'm bored. What else is next? So this is where episodic content can make a big difference. If you are making content and batching your content and saying, I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend an hour getting 5, 10, 15 pieces of content, and then I'm going to wrap that up and I've got my content for the next couple of weeks, I am not against that. I think that's the best way of avoiding a lot of anxiety and burnout of trying to think of things on the spot of what you're going to promote on socials. But we have to take it a step further. And I'm assuming that if you're not a professional videographer, then you're probably not Casey Neistat and able to make some masterpiece in 20 seconds. And that's completely fine. But what we can do is we can tell stories, because that's what you are. You are an artist, okay? You are not a musician. You are not a songwriter, like everyone keeps saying. Yes, those are skill sets, but that's not what you are. You're the superhero. This is about you. This is your film. This is your book. And because you're the superhero, you are the storyteller. And you are the lead character in the story, because your storytelling goes into your brand. Your storytelling goes into your lyrics. Your storytelling goes into your subject matter. So why wouldn't your storytelling going into your promotion or going into your hooks or your emotions, why wouldn't that be something that you are putting together on a day-to-day basis? So think TV series rather than TV ads. And this is where you can become synonymous for a certain type of content. Or you can even make 10, 15, 20 pieces of content which continue the story. And this is episodic content. Oh, I saw that last one. Oh, this must be a follow-on, almost like a part 2. Nobody's doing that. Everyone just goes, yeah, no, this is my content for the day. See you tomorrow. This is my content for the day. See you tomorrow. But when we're building FOMO, part 3 drops on Friday, or, follow along for the next part of the story. People are like, ooh, I like this. That's what we want. We want stories. We want to know the next bit. We want that FOMO. Nobody's doing it. Like literally nobody is doing it. And I'm watching kind of going, well, hang on a minute. This is the obvious step. Rather than a one-off drama, this is a documentary series or a Netflix series. If you can do that, or for the artists that are willing to put the time and effort into what that means and what that looks like, even if it's still 20 seconds of content, they're going to win because no one else is doing it. Everyone's gone left, we turn right. So let's stop thinking about attention. None of these platforms are rewarding attention. They're rewarding retention. Retention plus reach means you are getting the best of both worlds. So when it comes to your ads, I am not against ads. I use ads all of the time for artists every single day. I'm just very, very careful with how we do the ads, of when we do the ads, of how much money goes into the ads, of what the creative is for the ads. And if we don't have everything else ready, then what you are doing, instead of being a positive influence on your music and your brand, is a negative influence. You are giving bad data, which can damage your brand, it can damage your music, damage your Spotify, and damage your future releases. So if this is resonating with you and you are using ads to promote your music and you are worried about the rest of it, we can fix that. Come and join me in DK Music Business Academy. It's $20 a month. It's practically the price of a couple of cups of coffee. And you can work with me in the community. We've got loads of courses. We've got 12 new courses coming up. We've also got live sessions where you can ask questions. And it's just a great community of people. So if you're struggling, don't struggle in silence. That's what I love to do. I'm here for it. So thanks for watching. If you do me a favor, drop a like if you got this fun. That'll make a huge difference. Otherwise, I'll see you again soon.